so sorry that there's been delays on the Chinese production side. Did have a few problems, but we're going to get straight into this one, more or less here. M3 versus King. I'm Julian Page Time Card. This is Jake Spawn, Tiberi, and Spawn. Settle already about this matchup. Still looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. As we do finally jump into Champion Select and the first ban coming through, Kassadin being taken away from Assassin and followed up by Alessandra ban.
Yeah, so a little bit of what we saw. Kind of interesting to see that King did definitely play quite a bit of Kassadin yesterday in their series. Not to the greatest success, but still a strong champion on this patch. I'm sure as Janna, another strong pick, will also get banned out as well.
Yeah, definitely. Janna, just one of the strongest disengaged supports on this current patch. And in general, if you don't want people on your carries, very nice to pick that one up. The movement speed as well is very crucial in getting around to these objectives, as we see finally Na being taken off the board.
Yeah, King are like, we didn't really like that experience yesterday. Do not want to give that over to a player like Looper either, so Na will hit the bench for this particular game one here. Remember, it is a best of two as well. We'll have two games from these two teams. And again, both these teams looking for wins here. They have not picked up any yet, I don't believe. Certainly not the games we saw yesterday, so definitely looking to fight back and prove that, you know, we are teams to be reckoned with in the LPL.
Yeah, exactly right. And Jarvan finally being taken off the board. The last ban coming out of Master3, that's a bit of a flex pick at the moment, I guess, but has seen a lot of use in the jungle in particular, and it's just such a strong pick. Rek'Sai is still available, however, so look to see maybe that is a third ban coming out of King.
Yeah, that would, I guess, be the typical third ban here. We often see Janna, Rek'Sai, and Lysandra as the three big champions that most teams don't want to play against, but we sometimes see Jarvan in there as well. We see LeBlanc sometimes there. Oh, sorry, Nara as well, also another big ban.
Yep.
Or should be.
This does leave Lee Sin up as the last of those junglers that can really have great effect in the early game. Of course, we saw Ruo play that to pretty decent success. Wasn't able to get through into a mid-late game position to carry that one for his team. And LeBlanc maybe being hovered here for Dade to pick that one up.
Yeah, I think actually that Ruo, if he wants to go back to it, should feel confident still in his Lee Sin. He's an excellent Lee Sin player. It's the type of champion he wants to get his solo lane snowballing, so if they pick it up early, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And this, I feel like if it goes through, is unique to China when it comes to drafts. Thresh is the first overall pick.
Yeah, highest pick rate of any champion in China, so not surprising to see it picked away from Liam, of course, who played that twice in the first couple of games, so good pick away, and let's see what Love CD can do on this champion in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and Liam was a standout player in King's games, despite the 0-2 that they suffered. He played amazingly, and King really prioritized picking that early for him as well. So a super smart, very researched pick there from M3, as King are going to consider their next two picks as well. Again, quite a bit open here. LeBlanc being the biggest champion we might see coming through, but plenty of options here. And Assassin might be playing just that here if he picks it. It looks like Lee Sin is going to get blocked away, and LeBlanc is going to be the pick as well.
Yeah, so of course, MLXG did play one Lee Sin game after he picked that Rengar in game one, played Lee Sin game two. Assassin finally getting one of his namesakes, able to take that LeBlanc into the mid lane, look to see what he can do with that. Orianna is an okay matchup against LeBlanc, can shield herself, get rid of a lot of that upfront damage, but wouldn't be surprised if it was actually a Corki pickup here.
Yeah, got a lot of different options here as well. Sivir, of course, another big champion in China that we could also be seeing here. I do wonder what people want to go for, but M3 have plenty of time. I feel like they are going to probably try and pick Dade's champion late. That's been very common in their drafting strategies, to let him try and get a counter pick, but he's not going to have the complete option to counter pick here. And the picks are going to go through it. Seems that Master3 going for Nevermind. Swap at the last minute. Rengar and Corki are their next two picks.
Okay, so Corki doesn't really give much away from your team comp, but does give you the flexibility to be able to pick up very AD heavy lanes if you would like to, because of the mixed damage that can come through. Ruo going over onto the Rengar, that will be the first time we will see him play that, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he can make this one work, whether he will go that tank-heavy Rengar or play it more like an assassin.
Yeah, and the next two picks have already finished for King. They've gone for Annie, a bit of a flex pick there as well, and Sivir dropping quite late in the draft, actually, in the second rotation for King.
Yeah, that's the latest we've seen of Sivir come through so far. Used with Annie does give Annie a lot of movement speed to get in and get that big initiate down. We'll be looking to see whether that's taken into the top lane or support, because we have seen both, I guess, at this point of time. Wouldn't be surprised to see Looper pick up this Rumble in the top lane. We mentioned how important it is for them to have that level 6 control over Dragons, because they did get strangled out of that one. And Dade going back to Zed is a very interesting matchup against LeBlanc.
I mean, I love that he's going back to comfort here, you know. He played Jace yesterday, it's a good pick for him. Azir, maybe not so much, played it fine, but Zed, when people think of Dade, I feel like Zed is one of the first champions that comes to mind.
Yeah, he really did build a name for himself on these AD assassins. After his rise and the tier champions were nerfed away from him, that's kind of how he rebuilt his legacy, of course. Was very, very famous on the likes of Rise and Jace. They got taken away from him, so he did move over to that. So, yeah, Zed, a great pickup. And okay, let's not talk about that till it's locked in.
Yeah,
it was a fizz for a second.
It was. We got still some options here. King considered options. Likely a top lane pickup here. Do like the Sivir Annie as well. Annie kind of short range on those spells, so wants to get in. Sivir's ult can help facilitate that, but standard Chinese stuff here for King. They're going to get Aurelia in the top lane.
Yeah, I like the pickup for Aurelia because Dade will be able to, I guess, help his lane out, roam a lot, but then will be relegated to split pushing in through to the mid and late game. And having that Aurelia just has someone that you can match it, won't get bursted down, has a very clean transition into some nice armor items, and will do quite well against Rumble in the lane as well.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the other things. Rumble has seen quite a bit of play. We mentioned earlier on in the broadcast that dragons are a big important thing, and Rumble's always been fantastic when it comes to those dragon fights. Aurelia just feels so safe and is a very Chinese-esque top lane in that, you know, they want someone to be aggressive, a big fighter, a big front line, someone that can help force engages and stick to the enemy carries.
Yeah, definitely, and just does so much mixed damage that in the end there's really not much you can do against her in lane to build defensively. Of course, has a lot of AD that hits 10 style for some true damage, and then most Aurelia's at the moment maxing that E for a big burst of magic damage coming through as well. So it's very difficult to deal with in lane.
And I think we have two interesting things coming through here with Lysandra and Na being banned. The top lane pool kind of falls into an interesting spot where a lot of teams are defaulting to Aurelia, but it opens up a bit when now you can play Rumble. You can mix it up a bit. Maybe Maokai wants to come in if you want to tank.
Mundo, if there's a double AP comp coming through. We've definitely seen that there is, I guess, this top echelon of players in jungle and top especially. And if you take 2 or 3 champions away from each, it really does fall over into this massive pool. That's the reason why Rengar's come through. We've seen a little bit of Pantheon for that as well. And in the top lane, Rumble, Aurelia, they definitely are probably the next 2 best picks.
And that was exactly where I wanted to go next, was the jungle here. Rua is going to be taking Rengar into battle for, I think, the first time since we've seen them play so far. And not the champion that he's used to playing. He's really good on these early pressure junglers, wants to get into his lanes, snowball them ahead. He's happy to fall a little bit behind if his solo laners are getting ahead and they're being enabled to carry the team. And Rengar, he can get very potently once he hits level 6, but that's not exactly what he's used to. But we are into this first game here. Master3 on the left, they're our blue side for our first game in this best of 2. King over on the right, they'll be our red side.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like there's just going to be a little bit of a fan out early on in this game, although King, MLXG, will run into Ryu there. Ruo there.
It's right, here's Dade. He does move in. Gonna hang out and see what they can see. It's just some pretty standard defensive spread out here by both teams, it seems like. Nobody wants to get caught unawares. We've seen a lot of early warding.
Gank coming through here potentially from King, looking to get an early invade. Nice ward down. Maybe not much coming from here, but they will maybe get a deep ward in.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of this from Chinese teams. They don't really want to look for too many cheesy level 1s per se, but they will move together as a unit and ward deep if they can. The old world elite team was infamous almost for having a scripted level 1. They would always double ward the red side of the jungle, and here King are moving in and just trying to get some wards done. With the new jungle being pathing being so important because the camps have very specific layouts and are much harder to do, getting early knowledge on where the jungler is very important.
Yeah, and good ward in the lane here out of M3, spotting that the duo lane will be bottom, maybe setting up some funny stuff in the brush. Of course, Corki Thresh do have a great level 1 with that flay available as well as the phosphorus bomb. So may be able to get a little bit of work done down here.
And we talked about Lux and Liam, Liam and Lux being big players here for their team and kind of stepping up in a lot of the games we saw them play. And so we could see that phosphorus bomb will be a little wide though. We're going to break out into standard lanes. Oh, good play, but just a bit of a trade. Love City actually getting a ricochet down.
Yeah, so I guess it's easy to trade HP as a resource early in the game as a support because you do get to start with all of those extra potions, especially when you do, I guess, go for that Targons as well. That a bit of innate sustain out of the item will help Love CD there. So happy to trade with the AD carry.
Yeah, and the Relic Shield also providing a little bit of extra HP, so Thresh a pretty tanky guy, especially in the early levels. Happy to be aggressive here, and you can see Candy and Love City actually zoning a little there early. I'm just trying to deny Lame a little bit here once Sivir, and not let Sivir get a really early push on.
Yeah, Yeah, I think that Sivir just level 2 pushes much better than level 1, so we'll back away from the Phosphorus Bomb. Doesn't want to trade ineffectively. Level 3, once she picks up that Spell Shield, will be completely fine against Corki.
Yeah. I like the slow push action that's happening here from Master3, as we do have a hook. Does land actually onto Wax, but just for a bit of harassment, Land going to turn down actually and trade spells with Candy.
Yeah, and Love CD actually took a turret shot there, so overall maybe advantage King on that one. There is a little bit of a CS advantage this early in the game, as we actually see a level 2 blue buff being donated over to Assassin.
That is new here, as LeBlanc will walk back in the lane. I assume that was intentional. It certainly looked like it.
Well, it was, because they invaded and were able to take that away from M3, so now MLXG will just be able to go back to his blue buff whenever he wants and pick that up. So a little bit of extra experience coming out for King, and that all-important ability to be able to spam those spells.
Yeah, and that early level 1 word from King making a lot more sense now. Wanting to get vision on that side, make sure that they had that side of the jungle clear and were able to get in there aggressively. LeBlanc, especially in the early levels, actually pretty potent, especially with that E.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just because of how much Rengar struggles with buffs early in the game. You really have to decide whether you want to clear quickly and lose a lot of health using those double Qs, or whether you keep some health and use that W to keep yourself a little bit healthier. Ruo will be fine. He's nearly level 4, actually, so he's traveling around quite nicely in this jungle.
Yeah, just going to be remiss for his blue buff, and perhaps the mid lane as well will suffer, as Dade will possibly have a bit of trouble, but just fine here against LeBlanc. In fact, Zed, just a very safe, very comfortable champion in a lot of matchups.
Yeah, able to just farm quite safely with that Q. Of course, is resourceless, so doesn't have to worry about spamming his spells whatsoever. So we'll be able to continue to push in, and we might have the first gank of the game as Ruo goes into the top lane trying to help Looper out.
Yeah, Rengar maybe peeking up there towards the top.
Just getting a ward down. Of course, has been spotted out by that Scuttle. Now looking to go in on MLXG.
Yep, Lee Sin actually hanging out here with Assassin, trying to get a little bit of extra value out of that blue buff here. We'll see what he wants to do. Rengar actually coming through towards that mid lane as well, so no, everyone's just going to back off here, and they'll leave the mid lane on their own for now.
Yeah, very, very patient play out of Dade there to, I guess, wait out and not use his shadow. Once again, an invade coming out of MLXG. Has been spotted out by that Wolf.
Yeah, that Wolf Spirit is, I think, surprisingly good as far as might camps go.
I honestly think that it is extremely undervalued. If you know that someone is repetitively walking into the top side of your jungle or wants to dive, it is an extremely good camp to smite.
We'll see here again. Bottom lane continuing on. Very even in CS, so Wok fighting back here against the aggressive Corki of Candy. And trying to get that Sivir split push going. Oh, sorry, hard push going, I guess. It's one of those things where Sivir's best lanes are the ones where she doesn't have to worry about getting counter pushed to her, and she can just sit back, relax, and farm up a storm.
Yeah, and because Candy wants to ideally use his Phosphorus Bombs on champion, not creeps, doesn't have that ability to push the lane until level 6. And then, of course, Wax is just going to be able to spell shield it out. So no trouble whatsoever for Sivir in this lane.
Yep, he's going to continue to push. And we've seen Sivir again be so popular in this region, and it's not just that ultimate. She's such a safe, such an easy champion to blind pick especially. And she's just, you pick her up, feel pretty good about most of the team comps you build around her.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, with the popularity of Sivir coming through, how long is it till we see a Caitlyn or a Jinx being played into her to really try and shut her down with some of that range? Because she does have one of the lowest base ranges for an AD carry in the game.
Yeah, very short range. Here's Dade continuing now. It's hit level 6. A bit behind on CS here as Assassin's going to get aggressive. Just using that Mimic Distortion to poke a little here, but Dade more than comfortable on Zed. Zed definitely one of those champions that, despite being an assassin, does want to get his items up and start farming before he really moves around the map and takes action.
Yeah, really needs to get his Blade of the Ruined King and maybe a Brutalizer in there before he can start putting down a lot of that burst damage. Nice pickup here from Assassin, being able to go back and grab a Seeker's Arm Guard. Not looking for any of that cooldown reduction early, really respecting the Zed play that can come out of Dade.
Yep, Lee Sin going to rotate down towards this bottom lane as well. Cleared out a ward with the Raptor Smite buff. But King will back off, maybe even looking for quite an early dragon.
Yeah, so they've started to rotate up there. It has been pinged out. This is just due to back timers. However, they do still have their jungle here, so Ruo will be able to check if that is going on and maybe even get in there and affect the outcome. But it looks like King are doing this one relatively quickly. Yeah. Might be a little bit too late.
Thresh finally throws his Trinket Rod up, and King just beautiful timing there on that one. Steal away the dragon. Lee Sin gets hooked, but he does secure the dragon before that happens.
Yeah, that's 7 minutes in. That's about 5 minutes earlier than we're used to seeing pastry time, and that's very, very good awareness of when the M3 bottom lane just were going back to base.
And we've seen, I think, some of the best coordination from teams be dragons like that where you just know, okay, they've backed off, we've got a small window here, let's start. Because we've said Dragon does a lot of damage if you face tank it, but if you commit enough members, he actually dies quite quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And we see Dade going extremely deep into the jungle of King here. Now he's going to be spotted out by a ward over the wall, and wow, he's gone very aggressive onto Assassin.
Yeah, wants to fight. That does pop the ultimate, going real deep here as Assassin throws out the chain. Just going to keep him at bay. Good juke of the shurikens there as well. Forcing Dada to flash, actually. Does get snared at the end, but no ult for LeBlanc. Is not going to get a kill.
Yeah, missed that double shuriken, so was not able to stay in that fight whatsoever. Mechanical error out of Dade there. Candy will join him in this lane now, as well as Love CD, so they're putting a lot of attention towards Assassin, starting to get rolling.
Yeah, and as is often the case with ganks in China, when it rains, it pours. It's not usually just a 2v2, there's usually about 3 or 4 people there ready to gank you. Seeing actually a lot of 4-5-man ganks mid just in the last few days.
Yeah, definitely, and we have Liam in this bottom lane just camping out a brush. MLXG will be able to clear out this ward, and wow, once again, Dade going in. Level 7 versus level 4, but not able to push him off.
That's impressive as well. Ult will get popped by Rengar. Assassin, though, coming into support. They're going to throw some wards down for defense, and Ruo, using it ult, cannot get a kill.
They collectively had a 2-level advantage there and still did not want to go into Assassin's LeBlanc. A lot of respect being given over here, and with that Seeker's Arm Guard being picked up against 2 AD champions, it's just going to mean a lot of harass coming out in the bottom lane. It's going to mean a lot of damage mitigation for this LeBlanc.
Yeah, a great trade there in King's bottom lane, and you're right. I mean, I think
the invade's coming in at the blue buff.
Oh, LXG could be in trouble. Does go down to first blood as Ruo gonna get that. Assassin will look to chase. Does pop back, or force to pop back to there. Does actually get the kill there. Ignite will pick it up. Snares up Dade there as well. Ultimate though down here from Rumble. Now a teleport's coming in from King Sky. Rumble though is down here. Sky will lock him up. Looper getting close for a kill, and Dade gonna pop. He finds some Mimic though, not who he wants, and they both get away.
Yeah, Blade Sky there as well, trying to get a little bit more aggressive. Good ultimate out of Looper, forced King Assassin to go one way, however, wasn't able to pick much else up for it. And wow, more action in the bottom lane now.
Liam have actually dived in with Wax. Love City, they're flying back. Looper teleporting this time. He walked down to the other lane before. No more missiles. What's coming? Tib is back. He needs to block the skill shots. Does go down to the Flame Spitter. Can't block that one.
Yeah,
now
Assassin's moved down.
Yeah, he's come through. Does miss here. Good flash there by Looper and dives all around. This is what we came for.
Yeah, so a little bit more action out of Looper early. Does have a 20 CS disadvantage from that lane, but has been able to get around the map a little bit more freely than Sky. So good job from the M3 top laner, able to pick himself up a kill.
Maybe he's been watching Flandre from Snake, who loves to be aggressive with those early teleports. Dade now going to go back, and 3 kills in 10 minutes. Things a little bit more aggressive than maybe we've seen in the last few days. And as I said, this is what we came for here, and King definitely playing much earlier here in this game.
Yeah, this is more aggressive than we saw out of both M3 and King in their first set. So nicely played there. With a red buff on Assassin, that's going to make Dade's life a little bit miserable for the next couple of levels, just because of the harass that will come out of LeBlanc and the ability to be able to hit those chains once Dade is slowed down. So he has to be a little bit careful coming into this lane, but he has been able to pick up his Brutalizer now, as well as his Cutlass. So he's on track for about that 15-minute power spike that he wants to see.
Yep, got a blue buff as well, so pretty comfortable just staying safe with his Shadows and Shurikens and using them to farm up. Liam will clear out a ward here as MLXG has been very active around the map, actually.
Okay, so Dragon was taken at about 7 minutes, remember, guys. So this is going to be an accelerated pace of the game. Chinese team do like to take that one on cooldown, so look for the teams to start grouping up at about 12:30 to exert some ward pressure around that area.
Yeah, and Looper's doing nice. He finished up his Haunting guys already. If he can get to that Sork as well, that big, you know, it's in a weird way a 2-item power spike that we talk about with Rumble, because he's just so cost efficient with that ultimate.
Yeah, and they're very cheap 2-item spikes, as there's actually a 4-man gank coming into this bottom lane.
There we go. Silveralt is available if they want to go. Love Sea-Doo does return. I mean, I don't blame you for saying 4. That's pretty standard.
I actually didn't see LeBlanc mid lane, so I assumed she was down here as well. But no, was back shopping, so they back away from this one. With only 3 people would have been a little bit dangerous because they didn't have that flash on Liam to get it started.
Yep, Sivir though actually a big lead after all the aggression they managed to have before. Didn't find the kill on Candy, but were able to get a 20 CS lead as Rox is continuing to push in. BF sorting out for Sivir as well, plus the Berserker Greaves. That is so much pressure.
Yeah, and going for the Zerker Greaves much earlier than we have seen of late, electing for a little bit more attack speed to continually push this lane out. And this is just how Sivir bullies Corki. As we said, uses that spell shield to get as much mana as she wants off that Phosphorus bomb and just continually shoves out the lane as the ultimate's coming through from Ruo.
Yeah, Ruo's actually popped down in towards the bottom lane, and there's the ult pop by Sivir. Does not want to get chased out, so ult for ult there. Not a bad trade. Dragon back in 50 seconds here. Both those ultimates probably going to be on cooldown still.
Yeah, M3 will definitely take that trade. Ruo only going to be using his ultimate for a little bit of a pick before this fight, whereas Siva wants to like get everyone moving in that team. So I think that's fine from M3's point of view as well. Candy trading a little bit better this time around, but still getting shoved repetitively into his turret.
Yeah, notice that Lamb actually has exhaust here as well, which I guess is standard for supports in general in the bottom lane, but not as many aggressive options. And I think we've seen from a lot of support Annie, she just doesn't have the same base damage as she used to. So she's not, a big kill lane champion. She just applies a lot of pressure and has a lot of good CC options.
I think it's also because Rengar and Dade are going to be looking to jump onto Wax, and there's no escape out of this Siva. So she needs something to get her out of there. So a support will be helping in both those regards. As we see, even more aggression. Good hook.
Yeah, Liam does get hooked there. Playback as well. Great box there coming through his own. Now Candy in trouble though as he's taking quite a bit of damage. The Tibbers did go down. And MLXG trying to get the snipe. Tibbers will get collected. His gold has been picked up there by Candy. And again, a aggressive play under tower, but no kill.
Dragon is live and they're still chasing this one in.
Oh, that was a great kick there. Assassin gets in for the kill. Now Ruo could be in trouble. Does get snapped up, and that'll be a double for LeBlanc.
Yeah, King playing this fantastically. Once again, perfect timing. Going to be able to take the bottom turret as well as the Dragon here. So that will be their second one of the game at only about 14 minutes. Fantastic play.
Yeah, missed the start of it, but I believe Candy got kicked into Ruo by Lee Sin. So really nice play there from MLXG.
And followed up by a pretty poor one, missing the Dragon.
It's all right. He walks around the side, looks a bit sheepish, and they'll start this off again. King can look to secure their second Dragon. And we did actually talk about second Dragon in the pregame there and how that third Dragon is a big point of contention. It's going to be even crazier now because that's going to come so much earlier.
Well, the worst part of this is M3 has picked for a Dragon fight. They've picked up the Rengar as well as the Rumble. They want to be fighting at this point in the game, and they just haven't been able to get anything on their own terms. Credit to MLXG and Assassin for supporting this bottom lane. And we mentioned how Ruo wants to get his solo lanes started. He's not going to be able to. They're just concentrating so much onto Wax in the bottom lane.
And you know what? Maybe they're like, we need to change plans. Well, you guys are good solo laners. We'll leave you on your own. We believe that you can outclass your opponents in your lane. So why not focus here? And this Sivir has gotten pretty big and at least been able to force out and control the bottom half of the map.
Yeah, and the scary thing is even with a little bit of concentration around, I guess, the mid area, this Aurelia has just been able to farm up non-stop, no problems whatsoever. So even though we say that they've been concentrating on the top part of the map, they don't really have much to show for it.
Yeah, Aurelia has picked up her T-Force now as well. Assassin diving in onto Dade. Gets a good chunk of damage down lane and will walk in as well. But Dade will take the lantern out to safety.
And Dade actually picking up a pickaxe. Will be maybe going for a last whisper. Could even be a Tiamat if he wants to go a unique route there. And we see Wax actually taking down another turret in the top lane. We credit Siva for this. Doesn't have the longest range, but definitely pushes extremely hard.
And honestly, I feel like we haven't seen enough of this from Chinese teams that have picked Siva. When you're able to, have a lot of pressure exerted on the bottom half of the map, Dragon isn't up right now.
in a lot of trouble here.
He is. Great play back there. Jump onto Ruo. Dade now here as well. Lamb will stun at one. There's MLXG though coming in. He's going to kick Ruo back there towards him, and Assassin cleans out an easy kill for himself. Sky now in the mix as MLXG will move forward. Assassin looking for another kill here. Shurikens will come out. A 1-for-1 trade. Lamb did die, but nice moves there from King.
Yeah, King, great reaction to be able to respond to that. Looking to push in on this mid turret as well, so may even look to pick up another objective. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Candy has just been farming up, but hasn't got much to show for it. He's on track for, I think he has enough gold now to go back and grab his Trinity Force. That's 16 minutes. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, pretty standard timing. You think you might want to maybe a minute earlier. If you want to look at your average time, it probably ekes out to about 15 minutes or so, but perfectly acceptable. Does pick it up now as well.
And once again, 3 members heading into the top lane. MLXG wants something.
That was incredibly well led. Goes in, but a great play. Flashes forward now. His own Assassin will come down on top of them. Rumble did get the first kill, but Siva's going to pick up the double now.
Yeah, and Dade goes in, picks himself one in return.
Very nice there. Now Assassin going to dive in again. Dade flushes forward there. Assassin not enough though. Did auto, but it's not quite there. The Mimic coming out. The Shuriken will go through, and Corky gets that kill.
Yeah, the shutdown as well. 4 kills there. Being picked up in rapid succession puts the game back to 6-6, and M3 with their first signs of life. Dade able to pick up a couple of kills for himself now. 2-0 and 2, starting to get going.
And we talk about wanting to see more of King's aggression in this series. They're definitely being a lot more aggressive, but paid for it there with maybe an overextension by Assassins. LeBlanc's Candy will rotate in with Ruo towards the top half of the map and take out an outer turret for themselves.
Yeah, so first turret for M3 of the game. All 2 outers have been taken for King. The mid turret is still up. As we check out the line of pink wards that just coming out of King in their own river, just making sure that they have complete control of where they know M3 are not able to extend far at all. And Dade being closed in by Liam. Not much going to happen here.
And you talked about those 2 towers being out. That was my point earlier with Sivir, is that King with an early advantage, with Dragon being down, just move Sivir to the top lane, almost like a Caitlyn, and just let her push down another tower.
Yeah, exactly, especially when it's against something like a Rumble who doesn't defend turrets very well. So able to get that one through there.
A little surprised that they're actually maybe not even grouping again and going for this mid tower, but Dragon up in a couple more minutes, maybe more concerned about that.
They haven't really got many tanky members yet. Aurelia has just picked up her boots too, as well as that Trinity Force, so they're not in a position to dive. They could potentially look for a nice kick out of MLXG, but apart from that, I think that they're still a little bit too short range to be able to really siege that mid turret.
Yeah, good point. In the shorter lane, that's a lot harder here, whereas the long lane's a bit more space to move around and try and take out turrets. Sky has been in this bottom lane for a while, but we've kind of Australianed up this game here with the lanes swapped upside down. Oh, never mind, there's 4 members of M3 down. Look, they are going to go for the mid turret. Now Dade has to be careful. Assassin
this
diving
is just
in.
a better rotation. 4 members have gone strong into the bottom lane, and they may even lose 2 turrets here, depending on how quickly King push.
They're going to keep going in here. Dade is actually forced to back away. King will move in here. Liam clearing out a ward off to the side now. MLXG joining in to clear out the minion waves. Outer bottom tower does go down, but King is still pushing.
Yeah, this is not a great trade. They're looking to get even more damage down. They're walking upriver, so King wisely back away, although pinging it, looking for the fight.
Yeah, Dragon in a minute. Sivir gets popped there. No, Dade isn't here. Love CD flays back. Candy has to be careful. With Assassin off to the side now. Love CD going to get jumped on. Ruo nowhere to go, and Lame is looking for him, but doesn't quite find it. But another pick for King around a Dragon fight.
Yeah, great reaction to be able to pincer in on that. Make Ruo burn his flash over Dragon Wall as well, so getting even more for themselves from that little bit of a pincer movement that just came out.
And LeBlanc's Mimic being on such a shorter cooldown is kind of being the latest change after they took the silence off. Poor Dade just got poked out of it and had to go back to base.
Yeah, well, when you're left as a Zed to defend against a Sivir and a LeBlanc, you're just going to get absolutely chunked. So great understanding of where exactly M3 were, and being able to rotate around the map and just beat them to the spot.
We've seen a lot of LeBlanc bans, actually not that many, but enough to warrant that it's clearly a strong pick for a lot of the mid laners here in China. Assassin again playing to his namesake here. Playing a really excellent LeBlanc game so far. 4-1-1, 140 CS as well, just slightly behind Dade, but having a great game.
Yeah, and I think what LeBlanc does on this patch that she didn't do at the end of last season is secure objectives. When Dragon wasn't as important, it was just a gold source. LeBlanc really was hard to defend turrets with, but now that Dragon is really important, she's just such a solid pick. As we see a bit of a gank rush being set up by King here.
Yeah, Dade does sniff it out though, and Rocket will check it as well.
Actually took a lot of damage grouping like that on top of that brush, so may have to back away from this Dragon. They have sent Looper into the top lane, understanding that he has his teleport, whereas Sky doesn't. And wow, in the mid lane, Dade and Assassin looked like they had a little bit of a tussle.
Yeah, again, double blue buffs there. Last Whisper has been completed.
Dragon's been started up, meanwhile, on the side of King. They're looking to take this one nice and quickly. There is a ward there, so look for Looper to teleport to the back of the pit.
Yeah, he's already in there. Does get secured, though, will that Dragon. And Sivir gets popped. They're going to disengage here. M3 are going to try and make it happen, but actually maybe just going to counter push. Dade caught off to the side a little bit. Has not seen by a ward, but King, they definitely got away with that.
That was really poor map movement coming out of M3 there. They had the Rumble ultimate and the teleport available, could have got right into the middle of it. And now, once again, they've been caught completely on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, just a bit more poke damage coming through. Not going to get a massive amount of damage done to that tier 2 turret, but any damage is good damage on those turrets. The outers and tier 2s do not regenerate health. So
that's 3 Dragons at 21 minutes pastry time. That is such a crucial, I guess, bit of objectives to keep looking at, because that means that they're going to be on track for 5 at about 35 minutes through this game, and that is just huge.
Yeah, and we talked about, you know, that big third Dragon being a point of contention and being a big, you know, team fight area with a lot of 2-item power spikes.
Teleport coming in from Sky.
Oh, we're going to come in. Yep, Sky just joining the fray. Guess they want to force a fight here. Sivir not back up quite yet. MLXG does not take it. And King will just regroup here.
So 2 teleports wasted in a row. One from coming out of Looper, the other coming out of Sky. So not much happening here. Rotating now into the top lane, looking to see if they can pick themselves up anything in the jungle and just strangle resources away. And yeah, we're mentioning about denying that Dragon. It looks like M3 once again being completely strangled out of that objective in particular.
Well, my point was that, you know, we expect Dragons, that big third one where you really have to contest at that point, being a big team fight, 2-item power spike area for a lot of teams. M3 do not have 2 items finished on most of their champions yet.
Yeah, and it looks like Dade going a complete shake-up of the usual build we see. Hasn't finished the Blade of the Dawn King and just transitioned straight into a Last Whisper. So very gold efficient, but does limit his dueling potential that can come out of Zed.
And a slight gold lead here for King. 2,500 gold, not too shabby at all. Given how well they've played the map so far. Wax down the bottom, just going to clear out some more. Loving the Brutalizer Sivir we've been seeing a lot of as well.
Yeah, I really actually like the build. Turns her into more of a caster during the laning phase, then gives her the tools to be able to position around a team fight. So looks like that will be the pickup. 3-1-1 and a 30 CS advantage. He's had a terrific game so far, as once again, Assassin goes very deep, does so much damage to Dade.
And I think the nice thing about Assassin's build here with Zhonya's plus Morello Nomicon, and of course the Sork shoes for additional damage, feels a lot more like Fizz, when you want to be just super irritating, burst people down, and weave in and out of team fights and pick on carries.
Yeah, and when you chunk a Zed that low, he can't do anything after that. He has to commit so much resources to go in and try and take someone off the map that getting him that low, he may as well be dead unless it's a pure 1v1.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of when with Caitlyn saw a bit more play, just to walk in the lane and ult the Assassin as Caitlyn.
Yeah, that's why we used to see Caitlyn played into LeBlanc so much, because you could just, yeah, exactly that. You used to take your bottom turret, run mid, ult the LeBlanc, force her off, and then just take the mid turret, and there was just nothing you could do about it.
Candy Lantern's out. Red buff could be picked up here for himself. Will be picked up with the help of Love City, although Dade also a reasonable contestant for that one. Well, we'll go to Candy. It seems like Dade just setting up to try and get a pick here for himself. Decent game on Zed, 177 CS, 24 minutes at 2-0-2. But just in general, I think the easiest thing we can harp on is Dragon Control. King have just looked better around that objective.
Yeah, they've controlled 2 sides of the map very well. In the top lane, Sky's really had Looper's number here, building a massive CS advantage. That can't be understated of how important it is. Yeah, Looper's got around the map reasonably well, but as soon as the Banshee's Veil pick up, he's not going to be able to stand toe-to-toe with that Aurelia in the top lane. And then, yeah, as you mentioned, it's just the Dragon Control that's been so impressive out of King, being able to secure objective after objective, especially against a team that has that Rumble, has that Corki for all the AoE damage. Really well played.
Well, M3 grouping up now. Assassin eats a rocket, and they will take out the outer mid turret here. So 3 for 3 on turrets. Master3 get themselves a much-needed turret in this particular game. And Dade, with his blading, with his Last Whisper, and the Brutalizer done, he's kind of entering the mode where he needs to be, or wants to be in this game. It is time to split push.
Yeah, this is when he needs to really start split pushing and get something done for his team. He's exactly where he wants to be at roughly the 25-minute mark. Hasn't really missed a beat this game. 2-0-2 in CSing quite nicely. May want to be... Wow, and the hook comes through.
Yeah, at least Sin in trouble. Does safeguard away, though. Blue buff getting contested. Smite it down. Assassin wants it, but he can't quite claim it. Candy, actually, I believe, got that one.
Yeah, and that's good for the Corki as well. Being able to spam out a lot of those phosphorus bombs and missiles will make defending these turrets much easier because they don't have much other wave clear. And in the meanwhile, Dade just hasn't moved for that lane. He'll pick himself up the first outer turret of the game, maybe. No, Wax has chased him off that one.
Yeah, and I think at this point, it's good for M3 that Wax is the player on this team for King that has to go answer Dade's push. He's maybe a bit vulnerable with the pushing coming through, but Quicksilver Sash is a pretty interesting pickup.
Yeah, so he's picked up Quicksilver Sash, so why not send him against Dade in there? He's going to be able to mitigate a lot of that damage that comes out of the ultimate, and may even be able to duel 1v1. Has a good amount of flat penetration to come through from that Youmuu's Ghost Blade. So yeah, I like the answering push there.
I think they'll swap Aurelia over. In fact, Sky's even walking down to that lane now. Dade actually, I love this. He's pinged toward the little brush. He's setting up camp in, hoping somebody walks by that he can kill.
Yeah, and he's just looking for someone to approach Dragon from this way. Dragon only 30 seconds away. If they can get a pick, that will mean the first Dragon of the game for them. Looper's actually gone for a Rumble build that we haven't seen much of late. People have preferred to go for that Zhonya's Hourglass over the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, looking for more of a team fight build as opposed with some utility as King, Sky and Dade run into each other.
Yep, has found it, and Dade's pink ward has been discovered. A little bit of the old high Z action from Worlds that we saw, trying to stealthily wait in the brush and go on a mission, but Dade will just return to split pushing instead. And again, Sky will back off here. And the rest of Master3 rotating through as well. We have a dragon fight to have.
Yeah, definitely. And they've double pink ward that brush. So they both know where it is. Looks like they're moving into the pink ward. Scuttle was secured by Master3. Maybe even a bit of a flank coming in from MLXG here. He is behind the lineup, looking for a nice kick to come through. Has been scouted out by a pink ward though, so will have to back off into his own jungle, into the enemy jungle. And
I love the number of pink wards being committed to this pit as well. Really wanting to make sure they have the best vision possible. Lee Sin has to be careful. That ward is not safe to clear. He's real deep, by the way.
They've walked a long way away from jungle, the dragon here though, Master3. So they're going to have to be careful that it doesn't get taken while they're just, I guess, walking around in their own jungle.
Yeah, they're staying stacked very tightly as 5. They do not want to get picked off by Assassin. Here comes Ruo. Wants to go in with the Sivir. Can he get popped there? Rumble does go down. Lamb takes so much damage, and Lupa will pick up credit for that kill. And the rest of King are going to back off there. First Dragon will go there.
That is exactly what they wanted. Able to get a hook onto the squishiest member of the team. Got rid of that big AoE stun threat. Able to pick up a kill. And good ultimate actually coming out of Lupa there. So nicely played by M3. First one team fight, rotating into an objective, and now maybe even looking at a mid lane turret.
Yeah, and the decision to just stick together as 5 and never leave that grouping. There's Assassin really wants AoE damage. Does get picked up by that hook, though. And what a cleanup.
You see why Thresh is such a priority pick for the support players of China. What a prediction that he would go back to his first clone and just able to pick him up.
That was sick there by M3, and this will actually help them continue the siege. Love City wants to turn the same trick again. Well, dodge the Boomerang Blade as well.
And once again, we're seeing the build out of Corki that actually has a Bloodthirster much better suited to pushing down these objectives. So able to pick up the tier 2 mid turret. We'll go back, spend some money, and they've picked up the gold lead for the first time in maybe about 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a very short lead at 200 gold, but 4-3 in turrets now for Master3, and that crucial first Dragon picked up just moments ago for them as well. Maybe even a blue buff getting stolen away. Candy fancies himself another one of those.
Yeah, and it looks like they may even give this one over to Dade. They do, and will be able to escape cleanly. So objectives, much better control coming out of Master3 at this point in the game. King need to, I guess, regroup and try and get Sky involved. 0-0 on 1 really hasn't had the impact you would expect out of a mid-game Aurelia, especially when she's got that 80 CS advantage.
And still can't stress how clever it was from Master3 around that Dragon to stay grouped as 5. There's so much pick potential on King, especially with Assassin's LeBlanc that's had a good game here. They knew that, you know, if they're going to fight 5v5, they're probably happy there. They just did not want to get picked off.
Yeah, looking for a pick one more time. They've got pretty good vision control over this side of the jungle.
Oh, going in, Tibbers will pop them. There's a kickback for Looper as well. Gets eaten there by Assassin's LeBlanc.
Equalizer came down and tried to lock them up there, but there was no follow-up CC, so weren't able to get anything for their trouble. We'll have to rotate back away very, very quickly here on the side of King, but they were able to get in there, pick up a kill.
And Baron is being looked at here by both teams. LeBlanc actually topside. Big mending wave was brewing there for King, so LeBlanc wanted to try and clear that out. In fact, LeBlanc could be in trouble here. Thresh going to
we'll have to be careful.
Everyone riding along. Candy going to go real deep here, but there's
Gets a slow down from Red.
Oh, Bowler does miss. He actually juked it with a distortion, but I think that means he's absolutely dead. The Zonya's going to buy time. Liam's actually here as well. No, goes down to Candy. Now
this
Liam
is so bad
going to get jumped on. Now Dade going to move in as well. Liam getting low, does go down to Corki. Dade exhausted Wax, trying to make it happen. Forced to flash out there with the spell shield and the ult ticking away. And what a play again by M3.
This might even be a Baron if they choose to turn around and get it. No, the Moby Boots have kicked back in there, looking for MLXG. Don't want to go for the 50-50 fight. And there is a big minion wave in the mid lane. Might even use that to push into the base.
Bottom lane has a massive wave as well. Sky will clear out a lot of it with his ultimate as Aurelia. But M3 are going to move in, going to look for their first inhibitor turret of the game.
They'll get this one pastry time.
Lee Sin around the back. MLXG trying to make some miracle happen. Maybe just be annoying if anything else.
He was just cutting off the minion wave, making sure they weren't able to stick around for a second time, trying a last-ditch effort to save that, I guess, first inhibitor turret. Not able to do so, and they pick out up the red on their way out. So unless they can get a kill here, that's a very good play coming out of M3.
Saves the inhib though, which is probably good news there for King. M3 though, great rotation as you mentioned, really securing objectives.
King looking for a Baron right now. They know if they go very quickly, everyone else has to have backed off.
They haven't started it yet. Now Sky going to come in to take Assassin. Will come in just for damage actually, not going to zone people out. That's Liam's job here. And Baron is falling very, very quickly to the damage of King. There's Rango off to the side. Rui maybe coming in for the 50-50 here. Wants to leap in. Lamb's trying to get him out. He goes in. Can he steal the Baron? Gets kicked out though. And there's just a kill by Lee Sin.
Yeah, they do have the Rumble ult available and it does look like they're reasonably split, but they won't put it down. Not enough follow-up damage to come out. So King exit the Baron pit with the first Baron of the game. Great response to what looked like a good situation for M3. but they just overcommitted and overstayed a little bit. Didn't time their backs and gave up a free Baron.
Yeah, and MLXG being annoying, running defense around the back. They actually bought them maybe enough time to take that Baron out. Wax even held onto his Silver ult, disengaging from that Baron, so good news there as well. And the gold leaders actually still basically the same. Baron providing a decent amount there for King, but we're about 200 between these two teams. Baron buff, though, going to make a very different dynamic to the pushing now.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we see once again, if we take a look at the items, another BF sword actually coming out of Wax here. So electing for no other attack speed apart from that Youmuu's Ghostblade. Ranju and Omen has been finished up on MLXG, so he's becoming that tanky late game Lee Sin that's just in there to disrupt up. On Rengar's side, he's also going for a little bit more cooldown reduction, looking to get that ultimate up as much as possible to really try and affect these team fights.
And I think what's actually a little interesting as we look through the items as well as the top lane matchup here. Aurelia's got a lot of CS, but not that many tank items. Still looking Rumble, of course, as well. Lupa's behind him by 100 CS, but still can be super effective with his ultimate just with a couple of items.
Yeah, it certainly can, and that's the thing that we keep going back to about Rumble. Once he's got those two items in his penetration build, he doesn't really need much else to make himself work until super late game, and that's when you really have to start getting in there with your Flame Spitter. Until then, the Equalizer is just all you need to rely on. That's your bread and butter.
Yep, key pickup though for Sky. Does finish Arandu and Zerman and the Home Guard enchant as well on those Ninja Tabby. Like the Void Stuff there as well from Assassin, because there's actually a lot of magic resist respect here from M3, a Spirit Visage and a QSS among those items.
Yeah, definitely, as well as a Banshee's Veil even being picked up by Love CD on Thresh. So they've sent Sky back to the top lane. He's got a massive CS advantage already, up to 100 now. Will surpass that as he's trying to push this one down. Good Dragon control here coming out of M3, though. They will be able to pick this one up very quickly.
This would be their third as well. They picked it up. MLXG, though, will spot in, but he's way too late. Dragon dies so fast. Yeah, on delay him there, plays him back as well. Divas does get down, but it doesn't quite hit enough. Assassin picks up Lupa as Rengar slays Zanny. Now Love CD getting aggressive on the Sky. Diving in the back. Darty, though, picked up Siva. MLXG's in a whole host of trouble, and Sky will maybe pick up a kill for himself, but look to go down here. 4v1, forced to flash out, and that was 4 for 1 by M3.
Yeah, great control from Dardo there, diving in, then able to get back out on his Shadow. 4-0 and 5 now on this Thresh, and Candy just putting out so much upfront burst damage onto Assassin meant that he went down way too quickly. They will be able to pick up the first inhibitor of the game, and wow, what a Dragonfire coming through for M3.
And Lupa, he did his job, he died, but he ulted his Rumble, and that's all he needed. And Dade stepping up here, playing on a comfort pick of Zed. Sky is going to chase him down, but Love CD is probably going to keep him safe. We're actually going to steal away some jungle there as well. And M3, got to be happy they picked up a big fight just then.
Yeah, that's a massive fight, and transitioning it into 2 objectives is very important at this part of the game, as Dade able to clean out a ward, make his escape. So they need to be careful of a counter push here, but because it is the mid lane that they had pushed out quite nicely, we'll be able to just go back and maybe get a free shot.
I like the confidence in M3 as well to put Dade in a position to actually team fight. A lot of teams use their Zed almost purely to split push, maybe to a fault, but Dade, they executed flawlessly mechanically in that fight.
Yeah, able to really get in there and mix it up, and I think it's a credit to the team comp they've put together, because there are just so many threats. This Corki doing so much damage. They need to get rid of Lupa, who is, of course, just that persistent threat on Rumble, and able to get Dade in and out. Focus the priority, squishy targets in these immobile, I guess, the immobile Siva as well as King Assassin on LeBlanc, so able to get in there and do his job well in teamfights.
King trying to take some damage back. Candy, good checking of the brush. He'll be safe now. So Looper even waiting off to the side.
Awareness of the LPL ADs have just impressed me every single game they've played. Using all of their abilities to check brushes, never being too far away from their team. They understand how to play this game at an extremely high level in that lane particularly.
Yep, just eking out every farm here. And M3 now, pretty nice position of power. Baron, I believe, is one off for King. So M3, if they want to make something happen with the next big fight, and now is the time. They're going to move aggressively through this jungle of King. Likely trying to get some deep ward down. There's the pinks going down as well. Big defensive pink there that MLXG was just sitting on top of.
Yeah, that pink ward wasn't able to pick up the ward there as well. Nice poke damage coming out of Dade there. As we see a big push coming in on this top lane.
M3 staying grouped as well. Don't want to get picked up by Annie or LeBlanc. And now going to come in there. See the potential, not huge on Corki, but he can stay safe here with Thresh. And just use a Trinity Force to poke away. King might want to go in. Love CD finding a big hook going to lay him once again. And Candy just eats him alive. Now Lupa going to jump in on the Sky. MLXG, a great kick though. Ruo around the back trying to dive in on, but Sivazol has been popped. Now Ruo could be in trouble. Is forced to flash away as Dade will come through there as well.
Yeah, and understanding no one but this Annie can really get the fight started without some great mechanical play of MLXG. So once again just flashing, taking him off the map. Candy does need to be a little bit careful being tagged by that Sonic Wave, but not much going to happen. A kill picked up, and the mid wave is still pushing into the base, so maybe able to get some more. No, they're backing away from this one.
Yeah, just want to reset. Want those health bars. Don't want to take too many risks here. And all of Master3 will back up to their base. Dade's picked himself up a QSS now as well, so going to be a little bit tankier and not get locked up nearly as easily, especially by the Annie.
Yeah, so able to pick up a defensive item for himself. Has also finished his Yomus. There is a big creep wave bottom that we are just taking a look at. Looper will be able to pick that one up. Will need his Zhonya's Hourglass as well as a Void Stuff quite soon to continue to be relevant through this game as the Magic Resist is starting to pile in. But all in all, M3 have really turned this game on its head and are looking strong going into the late game.
Yeah, and after falling down on, I think, 3 Dragons in a row actually by King with all their aggression and pressure, M3 have stayed coordinated in the latter stages of this game, and that is unbelievably impressive to me.
Yeah, and look, it's coming out of a lot from Candy. We said that they maybe not the strongest lane as another hook lands.
He's playing magnetic to the hook. The box goes down as well. Dade going to jump in here for damage. Now support there coming through for Looper as well. They'll continue the fight now as Lamb very low. Does get popped. Will get sniped there as well. Lamb, I love City goes wide with the hook. Sorry, his walks. Gets that next kill, and in fact, Siva now doing a lot of damage. Good stun there, but Looper taking too much damage from Assassin's AoE. Now Wuck's going to flash forward. Ruo in a whole host of trouble. Going to get taken out there as well. Tries to jump back. Be safe. Sky goes in, but Candy picks up Assassin.
Yeah, what upfront burst damage coming out of Candy. They're able to be the sole survivor. Flashing health bars everywhere. Dade got taken out of that fight extremely early, and that Equalizer was the only saving grace. Zoning 3 people into the Raptors pit. They couldn't exit it there at all. Looks like they are maybe going for some Baron control here, but I think Candy will be able to run interference enough that they won't be able to take it.
He's trying. He's going to at least start pushing his way back up.
I think they've started that up with 2 people, actually.
Well, the timing's decent here. They have, in fact, started the Baron. They're going to use Sky's TP as well. If they don't get this Baron, real bad news here. MLXG has to be careful. The Baron does a lot of damage. He's going to dodge back and forth. They need his mighty safeguards back forward. He's trying to dodge the AoE, but he needs to dodge the spikes in the back as well. Playing with fire here, showing really good mechanics of this Baron fight.
And Candy still refusing to go in without his team. That's bad news. We'll be able to pick up a second Baron for free. I think he could have even poked them off that. A little bit timid play once again. That was 3 members, one of which was extremely low. But overall, King really heads-up play, able to pick themselves up another free Baron.
Mid inhibitor back now as well. What's turning into a pretty topsy-turvy game continues back and forth here as Dragon has come back up. There's 3 Dragons there for King. I think it's 2 currently for Master3. So they should be able to pick up their 3rd of the game. A crucial movement speed Dragon. And if it's a 4th, that's even better.
Yeah, so it looks like they will be able to start this one up relatively quickly. King's response is just to charge down that mid lane and catch them out, I guess, out of position. Nice wards going down. Sky running interference now with those 2 tanky items is not having any problem tanking these up whatsoever. They will be able to pick up 1 turret, but I don't think they'll be able to push through for the second. Maybe rotate into that top lane and try and get that one.
Tower got melted, and Assassin's build a little different here as well. He popped down his 4th item. Actually going to go for even more damage on the squishies. Abyssal Scepter is the choice.
Yeah, a lot of flat penetration comes off from that Abyssal Scepter. Maybe recognizing the fact that there are some big MR items starting to be accumulated and wants to get rid of a lot of them. Really doesn't benefit anyone else on his team, however, apart from Liam, who has no AP whatsoever. So yeah, interesting build coming out here. Not electing to go for that DFG and try and, I guess, get rid of Candy or Dade really early in the fight.
Curious to see what Assassin's last item is now as well, if we do get to that point in this game. And it looks like we'll 41 minutes almost elapsed in this one. And it's been a slugfest. King are up 3,000 gold right now. And I'm pretty sure Dragons are equal, but they do have the Baron advantage now as well.
Yeah, and once again, King as a unit of 5 moving through the jungle, looking to get their wards up ahead. And their ward control has been pretty stellar throughout this game. Haven't been caught unawares. Looking to push up the bottom lane. Not electing for a split push. Aurelia's teleport is, of course, down.
Last Whisper done there as well for Siva, so 4 damage items coming out. There's a stun onto Ruo, actually. MLXG will chase him in, but Lantern will get him to safety.
Yeah, and that's an important cooldown now down for the King lineup. May not actually be able to fight this one now because they rely on Annie so much for her initiate. So looks like they will back away. So maybe a little bit jumping the gun there, not understanding where Thresh was, and just an easy Lantern out.
Yeah, Candy, by the way, has also picked up 4 damage items. That poor bear got crit for about 800 damage. So both these AD carries, if they can get involved, and they are quite short range, they're going to be doing mountains upon mountains of damage.
Yeah, and Candy's still not electing to go for that Wow. Still not electing to go for the Blade of the Ruined King, but hits like an absolute truck.
He does here, and it's getting scary for both these teams. Very intense team fights coming up here as well. 5v5s are going to be absolute brawls at this particular point with just so much damage coming out from these carries. And both teams, I have to say, have played really well, both around objectives, but just in the team fight as well. It's been very back and forth, possibly the most back and forth game that we've casted so far.
Yeah, and with how the team comps are lined up with two people that do a lot of work to touch, you would think that whoever wins this next team fight, if they do it cleanly pace through time, will be able to pick up at least 2 inhibitors, maybe even the game. It is 43 minutes through, so this game really on a knife's edge right now. King especially, I feel, just need to get one good team fight where they get their MLXG and Sky into the back line, and they will be able to clean this one up. But if anything goes wrong and they get zoned by Lupa's Equalizer, it could go horrible in an instant.
Yeah, team fights as far as straight up 5v5, bashing heads together goes. M3 a little bit less good in that sort of fight, but if they can set up a good pick or zone out with the ultimates, absolutely they can win a fight very quickly.
And they are looking for a pick now. Ruo has popped that Ghost Blade as well. No, he hasn't got a Ghost Blade, just popped the ultimate. That was actually Dade popping his Ghost Blade.
He was keen.
Just trying to keep up with the cat.
He's very speedy at this point. Liam will keep safe this time around. His face has been really magnetized to the hook here of Love CD. He doesn't want to eat too many of those. And it's almost like when you pick on Sonas as support to his Assassin wants to go in, but just cleans out some moves instead.
Ooh, that hook just missing from Love CD. He's been on point with those today, so some poke coming out of both AD carries here. Probably will wait for that cooldown from Ruo to come back off to look for another pick. And King looking like they want to, once again, just secure vision control over the bottom side of the jungle and get these waves pushing. And
sort of my point before was that Annie is really the only big hard engage here for King's team comp, and they're using the Sivir nicely to get her involved easily. But every fight that M3 has won, it's been where Liam's been picked off by a hook from Love CD, and they've just eaten the Annie before she can even use that ultimate.
Yeah, and now because of how big this Corki is, it's going to be even easier to just blow that Annie up. So really needs to look for a position, has that flash and the exhaust available, of course, did pick up that distortion enchant on the boot, so we'll be able to flash in for those tippers, but just needs to make sure she doesn't need a hook first.
Yeah. Has a Mikhail's as well. I wouldn't be against a QSS for Liam either, just to try and guarantee the AoE stun if you do get CC'd. And Dade now looking towards the bottom lane, just going to push out slowly here, not going to commit too hard to a split push, does want to stay with his team. And we're getting to a really exciting part of the game now, Spawn, because big objectives are up here and everyone's got damage items. So not only is one side of the map important on Baron, but Dragon's getting really important as well.
Yeah, and you know, if you can keep turtling out these Barons the way that M3 have and secure yourself Dragons, the 5th Dragon is that all-important objective at the moment, especially when it comes to team fights. So they may be even clawing their way further back into this game. They have got a 4,000 gold deficit at the moment, and it is really starting to show, particularly in the top lane, where there is that big CS advantage, but at this point of the game, I don't even think it really matters.
Yeah, Sky, who has been the player that I think a lot of people pointed to as, you know, if we have to pick a best player on King, it's probably Sky in the top lane, showing it here against one of the world's best in Lupa. 100 CS up here. I mean, Aurelia, probably a decent matchup in a Rumble, had a good early game from his team as well, but that is impressive.
Yeah, it certainly is, and even just being able to CS when you're being pressured around the map the way this game has, there has been a lot of grouping, so to just accumulate that much CS, the AD carries actually on 410 and 418 respectively is just massive. These guys are now nearly complete build. In fact, Sivir is a complete build, having picked up that Mercurial Scimitar as a last build.
That is super scary. There's that 5-item AD carry. Corki likely not too far away from his Scimitar either. Dragon up here. That will be 4th here, I think, for M3. Or obviously 4th for M3, but the first 4th Dragon of the game. And this is going to die very quickly, but King are here as well. We're going to try and fight
Assassin lagging behind. They don't have the position to contest this one. It will go down nice and early. Dodging out on the hook, though. Now it becomes all about that Baron. 10 seconds until it's up. Complete vision control. And the ultimate has been popped from Rengar.
Brewer going to come in. Sky will take up the damage. Assassin going in, trying to go to the backline. Looper and trouble. Love City taking a lot of damage now as well. The Tibbers does go down for a bit of stun action, but Liam actually gets jumped by Dade, but he gets exhausted now. Sky cutting back around. He's quite tanky, but he's getting low. Forced to flush out there as well now as Assassin wants to go back in. Can he make a big Sky? Can he find the reset on the blade zone? Gets one. Candy though will survive there as Love City going to kite back, but he does go down. One kill might be enough. So Assassin going deep gets the kill onto Corki, and that could be it.
Yeah, 2 for nothing, but look how low all the health bars are. Great positioning there from Assassin in that team fight, weaving in and out, really secured that one. Wux made sure he kept himself safe, was throwing out long-range boomerangs when he couldn't get in there, and really mitigated a lot of what Dade was trying to do, that team fight particularly.
Yeah, I have
They
to
just
agree.
back away.
Yeah, sorry, that was... I know you guys got
I was about to say, and now they're starting up the Baron, but no, they're not. They're just recalling to base, even though there's a 50-second death timer on a couple of these members. Will allow Royo to get some advantage in vision, but you would think that now that they've healed up, that Baron will be their next objective.
Yeah, and I'll give credit to King here. Smart timing, knowing that they had plenty of time to fight for this Baron 5v3. Will start it up now. It's going to die very quickly with all this damage. Assassin, by the way, has picked up his Rabadon's death cap, so he wasn't scary before, and he was. He's going to be doing even more AoE in these team fights, and Baron is going to go uncontested here to King.
Yeah, so that will be the third one of the game for King, I believe, and get themselves even further into the gold lead, about 7,000 ahead at this point. And all the builds are really starting to be completed. Aurelia now picked up that Thornmail, will be extremely difficult for Corki to kill. Even though he has finished his... He's got rid of the QSS and actually gone for a Banshee's Veil. So just looking to get some health and a little bit more MR against this this LeBlanc, who's doing so much damage.
I mean, kind of Aurelia as well. QSS doesn't really help you there. You just need to be as tanky, and your team needs to peel as best they can because Aurelia is so sticky, and Sky might be the thing that breaks M3 here, building up possibly to even a Warmog as that final item. It's just so tanky with over 4,000 health.
Yeah, definitely that huge top laner at this point. Although the Void Staff has been picked up from Lupa, so finally gets some more, I guess, shred into his build. Will be able to, I guess, affect team fights a little bit more with that Equalizer now that he has that percentage penetration as well as all of his flat penetration. I still think that it is up to him to really nail these team fights with the Equalizer and make sure he zones Assassin out of the fight as much as possible, because Assassin still is relatively squishy, but looks like they will be using this Dragon buff to push in on the bottom turret. Baron
going to come through now as well. I'll power up those minions and try and clear out some towers. That's the biggest thing here. King have not been able to break the base of M3 really, apart from that mid inhibitor. No, they didn't even get that. That was M3, excuse me. So there's their 5th turret of the game. M3 still actually up on turrets despite the 3 Barons that King have gotten. So good news here. Love City trying to find
a lot of damage onto Love CD as he tries to land that hook, and no one can hit that cannon creep that is just chipping away at the turret. Very frustrating when this happens.
Dade poking out, but Assassin moves in, just trying to poke people down with his Q. Will go down there. Dade actually pretty good at cleaning out the cannon creeps from a distance. A Sky in the mid lane going to try and power up some of these minions as well.
Yeah, and they get a couple of wards down, looking to try and bait someone into clearing them. As Assassin goes over the wall, Sky still in the mid lane looking to pick up the mid turret, and the bottom turret goes down.
Yeah, I mean, that Baron creep doing so much work here now. Sky could move in, but still actually there. Assassin poking Love CD. Thresh going to get poked down here. And M3, they need to be careful. They're about to cede way too much of their base here. First inhib goes down on towards the bottom side. Second inhibitor turret goes down. M3, if you're going to fight, it's probably going to have to be now. But King are just going to keep them out here. Assassin just being so scary. And there's 2 inhibs.
Yeah, Assassin just completely zoning away the carries meant there was no way into that team fight after Rengar had used his ultimate. So great play coming out of King there, effectively using the Baron buff for the first time. Was their 3rd of the game. Now they picked themselves up a 10,000 gold advantage, and it looks like they've all nearly completed their builds.
Yeah, a big lead here as well, as we do have a pause actually coming out in this particular game.
Yeah, pause at a pretty crucial part of the game. So coming through, King have all of a sudden they started the game extremely strongly. So if we recap, they started the game 3 Dragons were absolutely crushing through. M3 on the back of Dade and Lupa. Even Candy having a really stellar mid-late game. Got themselves back into the game, but 3 Barons now falling consecutively, and it looks like King have really taken over.
Yeah, and it's going to be a game to rewatch no matter who wins here, because it's going to be a fairly dramatic game towards the end. We've had a lot of back and forth, possibly the most we've ever had in the LPL games we've casted so far. We kind of mentioned that a lot of the games in this season have been 2-0s. You know, both of these teams, in fact, lost in pretty horrific fashion as far as they're concerned, taking 0-2 losses. So a big win here would probably give quite a bit of momentum to either team here. And this is still a reasonably close game. King obviously have a massive lead now as well, but M3 can fight back. We're getting to very late stages.
Yeah, I think what they need to do is really shore up their base, wait for that next Dragon to come up and try and secure the 5th one, and then just steamroll a team fight. If you're M3, you put all your eggs in that basket and really try and push it through. Just mentioning how they both lost 2-0, and now if you lose a first team fight in 51 minutes as it started up.
Yeah, Wuck's going to go in there, but Rua and Dade will follow through. Liam there with a good stun, but Corki picks up Siva. That's huge there for M3. Now Liam going to get crushed down by Lupa as well, and that's 2 clean kills.
Yeah, really nicely played out of M3 there, understanding that they weren't yet in position from King, just going before the creeps were in the base. Good decisive call. and able to pick himself up a couple of kills. May even mean a Dragon with how long these death timers are, although it looks like Assassin and Sky are just running into that bot lane. They want to do some funny business and maybe even base race this one, Pastry Time.
Assassin coming in. He's actually Blue Buff LeBlanc, very scary, 826 AP. But they have to back off here. King are actually losing their base here at this point. That mid inhibitor is real dead.
Yeah, I think that will be an inhibitor and they'll back off and go for a dragon. I don't think you risk actually trying to end this one. 5 dragons are on the board. They've just got Looper to defend them because they pushed out one of the super creep waves. Won't mean that any of their base is at risk.
I think maybe King should have kept with the strat that they wanted to. I mean, it's very scary to opt into a base race, but could have maybe pressured some of the Nexus turrets. And M3 going to go for their 5th dragon here in this game. And King, they are nowhere near.
Okay, so I've been looking forward to this moment for a long time. What is more valuable, getting those 3 Barons and being able to push with the waves, or seeing how a team fight can go down with Dragon? I have a sneaking suspicion in the LPL region that 5 Dragon buff is going to be so valuable.
Well, everyone is pretty much built up here. Corki is done here. Dada is basically done with his damage build at least. And a pretty unbelievable amount of damage coming through for all of these carries. So we'll see. 2 inhibs still down for M3 as well. So they'll have to maybe defend some of their lanes here. But King, I mean, both these teams actually just kind of need to find one big team fight.
And that Warmogs has now been finished from Sky, and there isn't a Blade of the Ruin King on Candy. So whilst he's doing a lot of damage, like these are big numbers, that's nearly 4,500 health coming out on Aurelia, who is just going to be an absolute menace in these team fights.
Yeah, Looper powered up as well. Very thankful for that 5th dragon. Going to mean that late game rumble damage, which we honestly don't get to talk about very often, will be quite relevant here. If he could get in the backline, maybe just even throw up Flame Spear and tap his Zhonya's, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially if he gets anywhere near Wax, who has a Mercurial Scimitar but doesn't have much health to his name, and there's just so much penetration on Rumble at this point of the game that it won't really count for much. As we see Candy picking up a red buff with a 1,000 crit. He's absolutely destroying things.
He's massive as M3 going to counter push one of their super minion lanes here, or super minion lanes from King. I think one of the nice things you mentioned with Sivir is that there's not much good peel here for King's AD carry. He went down instantly in that team fight, and that swung it easily in M3's favor.
Yeah, well, there's not much peel, but there's good zone pressure that comes out of Assassin. So I think Assassin is a big part of trying to keep Wux alive in these team fights, just using his presence and distorting in and out of the team fight to really, I guess, put pressure on the front line of M3.
These are some volatile AD carries. I mean, it's kind of the carry that you're expecting here. High damage and low health.
Teleport actually came in from Looper after he finished up that Banshee's Veil, so he's 6 items now as well. They're really committing to this one.
Just home gunning in. Love City actually just absorbs the Q there. Takes a bit of poke damage, but nothing too unreasonable. And again, Thresh is quite tanky, plus he has the Banshees.
Yeah, and without a dive, I don't see how they will manage to take this turret down. They've actually gone for a flank from Layem. He's going through the jungle, will be spotted by a ward, and they'll give up a second inhibitor for this.
Inhibitor turret does go down. This inhib should fall as well. Layem is sort of caught in a very silly-looking place on the map. Flank will not work there. He's trying to go in. That's an amazing kick by Lee Sin, but no follow-up there from King.
Yeah, and able to pick up a second inhibitor, and look at the top wave. It is absolutely massive. That'll crash into the base, and now they're looking for the support player.
Layem, I'm sorry to say, if you get caught, never mind. Team fight will happen. King going Layem in the back with a good 2-man stun. There's Dada going in onto Wax and just eating him alive. Does move back there. There's the kill on the Zed. Dada is down here as Looper's going to do damage. Layem taking up quite a lot actually, but Looper has taken out Sky. That's 1 for 1. Oh no, Wax goes down to Corki. Candy doing so much damage. Layem is down as well, and that might be it here for Master3.
Yeah, that will definitely be the game. 4 for 3. 1 for 3, 4 versus 2 as they move into the base. Super minions pushing in from top and bottom, and wow, really turning it on in that last team fight. And that 5th dragon bar means you do so much damage.
That's a lot of damage. Assassin actually trying to make the difference. MLXG coming through there. There's actually the kill onto Rengar. Inhibitor, a Nexus, sorry, is exposed, and Candy is trying to cut around. Assassin has to juke these bullets from Candy. He does such stupid damage. Assassin ult back very, very soon. And we're somehow not done yet.
Okay, so that was a lot of silly damage that came out of Assassin there. 6-item Aurelia using herself, LeBlanc using herself as a human cannonball to really jump in there and affect that. Both inhibitor turrets, Nexus turrets went down though, so whilst not the end of the game, it looked pretty dire because Everything is exposed. Baron is up. They'll be able to go pick that one up and maybe play this one textbook style and just run into the base one more time.
I mean, it's not good news, but it's not the worst news here. King will stay alive for now in this 56.5-minute game. What a slugfest this has been between two teams.
And so back and forth. Dade dove into that game, that team, and tried to go hero mode and got absolutely obliterated. I think that just shows how strong all these members are, and one mistake, one blink of the eye will cost them.
There's just an ungodly amount of damage on all of these carries. And I like that you mentioned Assassin being aggressive with his Mimic Distortions especially. I've seen a lot more of that from LeBlanc. Just when you can find the position, you do silly amounts of AoE damage.
Yeah, especially if you double up and really throw yourself in there. It doesn't give you the amount of range to retreat to, but if you kill everyone, what does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen that much of this yet, at least in LPL games that we've seen, but I wouldn't mind seeing maybe LeBlanc rumble for some real big wombos. And M3 going to go in for this Baron. The actual pushing part of the Baron probably not that relevant, but it does still give you battle stats as well.
Yeah, so able to get that one. We'll look to potentially push the top lane, and M3 really, King committing to this Dragon now, understanding the power that comes out of it, but their base is completely open. If this is probably the last team fight.
Sky going in, MLXG going to find they've got Dade, they're going to move in for the damage. Equalizer comes down, but Dade quite low. Have to keep going in. Sky in the back, moving around. Assassin trying to find a way and lay him so low. Rua going to dive on him, and Corky is taking out Sky. There's Andy going down as well. Watch will get eaten by all of the M3 damage as well, and that's a clean 5-0. M3 have won the game.
And that was with a face check, able to get the fight in their favor. What an ultimate that came out of Lupa. Dade able to keep himself alive, and this Thresh play has been pretty phenomenal as well. A good box to keep everyone there. That'll be the game, and M3 able to possibly steal it, you would have to say.
I mean, they won basically with a gold deficit, which is not something we can say about any LPL game that we have